Friends, welcome again to a video of wisdom. When it comes to wisdom, the Buddha is simply unparalleled. He stands timeless and his outstanding wisdom astonishes many erudite people even in the modern society. As a Buddhist scholar, I have identified many of the Buddha's speeches and practices that reflect his pure wisdom. Considering their immense usefulness to you, I expect to present my findings in several videos, and this is the very first, the Buddha's Wisdom series, presentation 1. The Buddha initiated for the first time in history a new phase in human thinking. For he was the first to challenge the so-called absolute truths in his society. Religion itself, and beliefs and practices, and even kinship and law were all considered real truth in his society, as well as in European societies during his time. Vedas, pre-Buddhistic texts in ancient India, claimed that religion, kinship, and social practices were created by a divine power, and therefore they are absolute. In ancient Greece, Solon of Athens, during the same period, held that law and kinship were divine. The Buddha was the first to turn this truth upside down. He emphatically and explicitly denied in the Aganya Sutra, in Dika Nikaya number 27, any divine power behind kinship. Just as justice and law against crime were invented by social agreement, the kinship also originated as a result of a social contact. In the same way, according to the Buddha, religion became a systematic organization after crime, punishment, and kinship appeared. In other words, the so-called absolute truths, as the Buddha identified them, are actually social constructs. Yes, religion is a social construct. The Buddha was the first to say that. Still, the best example in this regard comes in a different discourse of the Buddha, in the Asalayana Sutra in Majjhima Nikaya 93. You may be familiar with the caste-based social system during the Buddha's time, a system in which human freedom and rights were rigorously suppressed and confined. The Buddha was completely against that system. He was fully committed to eradicate it. He asserted that it's a social creation. Yes, the social structure is a social creation, not a divine truth. In the Asalayana Sutra, the Buddha says that the caste system, if it were an absolute truth, should be the same in the entire world. Taking an example from the Greek and Persian system, the Buddha says in Iona, that means Greek island Ionia, and Cambodia in Persia, and in the outlying countries, for example, there are only two classes, masters and servants, or lords and servants. Thus, this difference shows that the caste system is a social creation. That's the Buddha's viewpoint. Iona is actually Ionia, the first Greek island to come out of Dark Age thanks to the Eastern influence. Interestingly, the Buddha had accurate knowledge about then Greek social system. He knew that there were only two social classes in Greece, masters and servants. That is true. One island invades the other. The winners become masters and the losers the servants. Their social system consisted of only these two groups. The Buddha used that knowledge to refute the argument that then Indian caste system was an absolute truth. If the caste system is an absolute truth, it should be the same everywhere. In Ionia, it's a different system. Therefore, the caste system is a social creation, a social construct. I consider my realization that most truths are social construct it's a kind of an enlightening wisdom to me. If those truths are social creation, I am aware of my rights. As a social being, I have the right to accept, challenge, reinterpret and redefine these truths based on humanistic and pragmatic grounds, not merely to surrender to them, traditional truths. I am indebted to the Buddha for giving me that wisdom. The wisdom that truths, most popular truths, which some people would consider absolute truths, are actually social constructs. Thanks. We'll see you again.